Mic check. 1 2 1 2. I'm muted. It wouldn't be a Gamers We Care production if someone didn't have themselves muted at the beginning in the intro of the stream. It just so happens to be me today and not Trusted Beard. So I'll do that again. Welcome everybody. Rick Shade, Gamers We Care, Trusted Beard, Futures First Gaming, Adora Bow, and of course Bloody Slayer. Thank you everybody for tuning in. Exactly Pro Moves. That's right, Rick. That's right. We have two fantastic guests with us here today, both of which I had the pleasure of meeting really through the internet and through esports here in Atlanta. So this is going to be a great show for you guys today. We're going to learn a lot about where esports is going in education and hearing from one of our guests here about their experience with pancan. So just to get things started, obviously we want to go ahead and introduce our guests. We will start first with none other than Stephen Sye. He is on the top left of your screen here, CEO of Futures First Gaming and Senior Director of Digital Products for the Heart and Rhythm Association. Let's go.
That'll work.
So, Steve, tell everybody about yourself and what you do.
Jotato, what's up, my guy, man? Thanks for having me, Pancan. Thanks for having me, Matt. What's up, man? How are you? Super excited to be here. So thanks everybody on chat for joining in. So I'm Stephen Sye. I am the CEO and co-founder of Futures First Gaming. And as Jotato also mentioned, I serve as a senior director of digital products for the Heart Rhythm Society out of Washington, D.C. So let me tell you a little bit about both of those organizations, because you'll see the fit and the tie as we engage in our little discussion today. But Futures First Gaming is a STEM.org accredited ed tech, media, and esports entertainment company. What we do is we convene gamers, bring them together for fellowship, community, competition, tournaments, open plays, all the above. But that is really just for the purpose of then attracting those that are interested in pursuing professional careers in technology to our educational programming. So we have a number of programs that show, gamers what's under the hood, what's behind the scenes in the gaming industry, from game design all the way through to what we're doing here, broadcasting, entertainment, and the like. So, that's what we do at Futures First Gaming. We really use gaming to bring more underrepresented gamers. That's kind of our focus, Black and brown gamers and women into the space to bridge the gap, close the digital divide, and just really expose more people to technology skills, because that's the wave of the future. On the flip side, I serve, in my role with the Heart Rhythm Society. And what I do there is I'm responsible for leveraging all forms of technology, all channels, all media, from YouTube to learning management systems to websites, to podcasts, whatever, to bring education to cardiologists, but more specifically electrophysiologists, who are, doctors that focus on heart rhythm. So making sure that our hearts are beating normally and correctly. So if you guys remember what happened to Damar Hamlin, this past season, he had, sudden cardiac arrest. And, the doctors that we work with at the Heart Rhythm Society, their goal is to take the guesswork out of knowing what to do to save lives. And so part of my work there is just making sure that they have access to the latest technology and information and tools and trips and techniques on how to ensure that, everybody is hearts are functioning normally and on rhythm. So those are my two professions. A little bit about me personally. I live in Delaware, Middletown, Delaware. Futures First Gaming is based out of Delaware. I have 5 boys. I'm married. So busy household here, all gamers. We definitely are playing games, as much as we can around here. But yeah, man, that's a little bit about my background, a little bit about me, and excited to be here. So thanks for having me.
Absolutely. Thanks for joining us, Steve. And we're going to get into some of those digital products with the Heart Rhythm Society, not association, here in a little bit. And before we get to Matt here, I have a little story. Obviously, we are working with PanCan this whole month to put on this live streaming fundraiser, because this is a space they're looking to kind of break into. And many of you, there's many different stories as to how this came to be. Mine is actually dates back about 8 months now, give or take. Back in, I forget what month it was, but there was a esports summit here in Atlanta. A couple of people from FFG, Malcolm and Nudie, were at that location, and they brought Matt along with them to attend this esports summit, as he, you know, is an educator at WilmU, and they're looking to bring an esports program there. And I was able to connect through Futures First Gaming with Matt. We just kind of got to chatting a little bit at lunch one day, when we were talking about, you know, charity fundraising, the stuff we do here at GamersWeCare. And he was like, hey, man, you know, I volunteer with this charity, and we've been talking about this. Can I get your information and float that forward? Absolutely. And now this partnership was born. And, you know, I couldn't thank Futures First Gaming enough for, one, creating that connection with me and Matt. And honestly, you know, shout out to Malcolm. He was the first guy in Futures First Gaming I ever connected with on LinkedIn. And it's just been a great partnership. Even, you know, kind of on the back end, we don't often work together, but I'm always connecting with those guys and seeing what's going on in the esports space. And it's led to some great stuff for GamersWeCare so far. So without further ado, Matt, we have Matt here. He is a academic director at WilmU for the liberal arts department, and as well as associate professor. So Matt, introduce yourself and tell everybody a little about yourself.
Thanks so much. And so it's interesting how this has all come together. Like you were saying, two of the organizations, one PanCan, but then also the way Stephen and I connected from the beginning, an organization called Leadership Delaware. Both of the founders had a philosophy of the importance of collecting dots and then connecting them. And so it's just really funny that these two organizations have come together in this space. But just from the intro part, like you said, my name's Matt Wilson. I'm the director of liberal arts at Wilmington University, which really means I oversee predominantly most of the general education in the undergraduate department. We have a couple of degrees, also in interdisciplinary studies, applied math, and a few other areas as well. So that's really the part I oversee there. I'm also the faculty athletic representative for the university, Wilmington University, which is located in Newcastle, Delaware. We're NCAA Division II school. So I am the bridge between athletics and academics as well, making sure that we have the best student well-being that we possibly can, and working with the NCAA as far as different policies and governance and different items like that as well. So the way I got into all of this, and we'll talk about this a little bit later, but during the pandemic, well, before that, I had been gaming off and on for years as a kid, going from Atari to Nintendo with Mario. I'm kind of the caveman evolution, I guess, of gaming to this point. But during the pandemic, my nephew was really starting before that, but really during the pandemic, got into gaming, specifically Minecraft and Fortnite and some games like that. But specifically Minecraft really came to mind. And he was making a lot of new friends and connections, and just learning about that game and the strategy and building and resourcing that you have to do, and the team building, all that. It was really intriguing, and just started diving into current state of gaming and esports and all that. And then one day on LinkedIn, which seems to be a common theme here right now, Stephen posted something about esports. And specifically Future First Gaming and their workforce development programming. Now, Stephen and I had met through that organization, Leadership Delaware. We had gone through the program. It's a 10-month leadership program here in the state of Delaware, and really gives you a great foundation of true leadership, what it takes to be a true leader, but also the state of Delaware and all that goes on and how the state works, and the importance of a small state like Delaware of bringing everybody to the table to make a change and difference. And so when I saw that, I immediately reached out to Stephen and thought, man, this is something that I think Wilmington University and FFG should really be talking about. Prior to the pandemic, there was conversations going on, but my outreach to Stephen kind of sparked that back up. And one of the things that we saw with the workforce development programming was the potential of partnering together in an esports certificate. I know we'll talk about that a little bit later as well. But from there, it's just been an amazing kind of just explosion of connections, of learning, of potential that I see, not just with obviously with Futures First Gaming and all that they're doing, but with the ecosystem that we're building at Wilmington University around esports and gaming just in general. It's pretty exciting to see. But again, it all came because of that idea of collecting dots, collecting information, collecting context, and really figuring out where are the best connections. And so that again comes to, which I'll talk about in a little bit, the connection to the Pancreatic Cancer Action Network, or PanCan, as well.
And actually, that's a great segue there, Matt. We will go ahead and kind of get into PanCan here, and a couple of stats for you guys in the chat that maybe haven't seen any of our streams yet this month, or just aren't aware of PanCan and what they're doing. Where they're raising funds and doing research to try and find a cure for pancreatic cancer, one of, if not the most deadly cancers kind of in the world. And just some stats here in 2023. So this year, it's estimated that 64,050 people will be diagnosed in the U.S. with pancreatic cancer. And of those 64,000, 50,550 will not survive. And that's just to kind of quantify that a little bit more. That's right at 80% of those people are not going to make it. So that's why we're doing this. That's why we're raising these funds for PanCan. It's one thing. Cancer sucks in all its forms. But when it's something like this with pancreatic cancer, and it's so hard to detect because your pancreas is hidden way down in the center of your body, hidden by all your other organs and whatnot, by the time it's found, it's already spread to the point where it's likely too late. And so that's what we're doing this for that. Anyone that donates today, your money is obviously going to that research. $480 can support one research grantee for 3 weeks to support that research. $250 will get free educational packets in the hands of 25 newly diagnosed patients. And $100 will help patients with their free one-to-one service through PanCan. So that's what we're doing today. PanCan Go Live, thank you so much for joining us today. And with that, Matt, I see you're wearing your PanCan hoodie there. We've got the WilmU hat on, all color coordinated. I like it. So tell us, you've been volunteering with PanCan. So how did that obviously start? And then kind of tell us your story with PanCan and pancreatic cancer.
Yeah, they've trained me well as far as making sure you get all the sales pitches in, that you got the logos everywhere. So yeah, I've been trained well in that. So I volunteer in a lot of different ways, but this one is very important to me. And one of the things, before I get there, I mean, Gamers Who Care, every time I came on the stream, many of the streamers had a connection to the disease. And so those stats that you were talking about, and a lot of times they were coming on and they were doing it in honor of somebody that they knew, a relative, a friend, and all of that. My story is a little different. When I was 29 years old, I went into the emergency room here in Delaware and found out I had a kidney stone. And but on the report that said it was kidney stone, they told me that there's a shadow near the pancreas area. It's probably nothing, but you may want to get it checked out. And my primary care looked at the report and said, well, it's probably nothing, but let's just get it checked out. That decision by my primary care physician led to months and months of testing. And every test that would come back, they'd say, well, it's not this, but it's probably not cancer. You're too young, you don't fit the mold, but we're not going to rule it out, but let's just keep testing. And that stage of not knowing, I mean, if you think about that, you pay your doctor to know, and they're saying, hey, you don't know. I thought the Matt Wilson disease was going to be created. Like, that'll be what I'm famous for, is some weird disease that nobody gets, right? But that months of testing finally led to one of the doctors here in Delaware to send me to Jefferson Hospital up in Philadelphia. And there I ran a test, and I was actually teaching class in Dover, Delaware. I was driving back up to my office and saw that the hospital called, and they said, we need to schedule you for surgery. You've got a cancerous tumor in your pancreas, and we need to get it out. And so scheduled that, went in for surgery. It was about a 9-hour surgery. They removed about 80% of my pancreas. my spleen, and 21 lymph nodes. And the tumor ended up, it was on the tail of the pancreas, which is a little unique than the majority of them. But again, they did the surgery. I've got an incision. I'm not going to stand up, and nor am I going to show it. I don't want to get the ratings up too high here, but it's just literally just right across my stomach area there. But thankfully, around Christmas time of that year, they were able to tell me that they were able to go in and get it all, and I was cancer free. My story is unique. No chemo and radiation. They were able to get it, take care of it with surgery, but it was found that early. About a year, my year anniversary, I decided I wanted to give back. And if you think about it, and I think this is the power of what we're doing here today, what GamersWeCare with the connection with pancan is so powerful. You know, at the time of my diagnosis, there was a 6% survival rate from this. Now, I didn't know that at the time. I just kind of followed my doctors, did surgery, and that was it. But it was a 6% survival rate. And they talk about this for survivors. There's the survivor guilt, the question of why am I still here, particularly where there's a 6%. But I think between my always volunteering and wanting to give back, and then there was that sense, which I couldn't, at the time, I couldn't quantify exactly what it was. There was this wanting to give back. And so like any good researcher would do, I went on Google and typed in, you know, Delaware volunteering pancreatic cancer or something weird like that. And lo and behold, pancan popped up. And like Joe said, it was a comprehensive organization that raises funds for research, does community awareness within the local communities, and does government advocacy, because the importance of federal funding for health research, particularly around cancer, is extreme. And so there was a great grassroots movement that this organization put across the country. And they had a group of volunteers in Delaware. So I connected with that group. And we ended up at that time, it was the first time that they were putting together a 5K, because, hey, if you're a nonprofit, let's put a 5K together. But, you know, that we did that, and I started getting involved with that organization. And then they got me involved. They're like, your story's so unique. Why don't you go to DC and talk with your congressional members of Congress? I had never done anything like that. I never read the newspaper. I didn't stay up on current events. But I said, okay, you know, I'm bad at saying no. So ended up going to Capitol Hill, spoke with my leaders there, and became the advocacy chair as a volunteer for the state of Delaware, and really went across the state and would raise awareness about pancreatic cancer with our government officials, and went to DC many times and connected with them. And it's amazing. Again, we don't talk about this disease, but at the time, all three of the people from Delaware who were in Congress, they all had a connection to pancreatic cancer. Specifically, one, Senator Coons, Chris Coons, who his father, this past 2 years or so, his father, his uncle, and his pastor passed from this disease, and he champions this disease along with Senator Carper and Representative Blunt Rochester as well, and at the time, Governor Carney. So again, it's a disease that's not talked about for many reasons. There's not early detection right now. Symptoms are vague: jaundice, side and lower back pain. Luckily, research is showing a connection to early onset diabetes could be a connection to pancreatic cancer. It makes sense. Pancreas makes insulin. So there's just a lot of work to do, and it's not a disease that's talked about. But my story connected, and I've had so many opportunities to go around the country and to talk about not just my story, but to hear from people and to try to make results better and to raise more funds and to talk about people and to connect more dots. And through the efforts of the Pancreatic Cancer Action Network, from that time of 6% survival, when the organization started, it was a 4% survival. Today, we can say we're up to 12%. And we're the world leader in advocacy and research and in aggressive, trying to build aggressive treatment options. So I'm proud to be a part of the organization and be a part of this. And I'm just so thankful, again, for my second chance that I've been given. Again, you know, you can say, you know, whether it was divine intervention, whether it was just, you know, happenstance, whatever it was, I'm here today, and I'm going to use my second chance as much as I possibly can. And I think, and then I'll turn it back over, but I think that's the importance of here today, to what Joe was saying, not just about raising funds, but what Gamers We Care and the Pancreatic Cancer Action Network connecting together. What I found was an outlet as a survivor, an outlet to give back, for my second chance to impact, so families don't have to experience what I did. My story is not about scientific research. It's about a kidney stone, which I'm thankful for. I think I'm the only person ever thankful for that. But it's not about scientific research and the importance of building that and continuing to advance the cause. But there are a lot of people who don't have stories like mine, who have relatives that passed, that have friends that passed, and they need an avenue as well, the way to change to make impact for the story that they've had. And I think this is just the perfect avenue. The pancan's been so great at giving those people that opportunity. And in the gaming industry, you think about it, this is an outlet. It's an outlet to tell a story to people. It's an outlet to be able to connect with people in a unique way. And if you think of age demographic, there may be a lot of gamers where it's a parent, it's a grandparent that's has this disease, and this gives an opportunity. This organization and pancan's giving an opportunity for people to be able to share, to grow awareness, and to raise funds in a unique way that maybe is a passion for them as well. So I'm really appreciative of this month and all that's been going on. And I'm super excited to just be at the forefront at the beginning of this partnership.
Awesome. And we, Matt, we're glad you're still here to be able to join us for this show. And we appreciate you taking your time on a Sunday afternoon. I know you said you got your nephew there today. So we're glad you were able to kind of set aside some time to kind of chat with us and tell your story. So we do appreciate that. Real quick before we move on, a couple of shout outs. I don't have the alerts on today for obvious reasons, chat. But thank you. $5 donation by Jeff and $20 by Unknown Entity. You guys are awesome. That puts us up to, I believe, a little over $3,000. So thank you so much. But yeah, so moving right along here, obviously, Matt, you guys were able to detect your cancer early. And one thing, Steve, I know you're doing with the Heart and Rhythm Society is kind of toying with VR in the training of some of these doctors. So how does that impacted the Heart and Rhythm Society and how they're able to kind of detect, heart deformities or training in certain surgeries? But to take that a step further, how could we use that in diagnosing other forms of illness?
Yeah. So first, I want to say, Matt, man, I don't call it happenstance. I call it purpose and destiny, man. Like you're here for a reason. You're here to make an impact, and this is sort of your journey, right? So I'm truly grateful and thankful that you did have the kidney stone, but for all accounts and purposes, I mean, it was just meant for you to be here and meant for you to be on this journey and make an impact in any way you can. So shout out to you, man. Proud to call you my friend. So thanks, Joe. Tell you a little bit about what we've been working on at Heart Rhythm Society. So obviously virtual reality is a tool that a lot of the public has access to, right? And technology is kind of a baseline and a ground for doctors in this space. They use 3D mapping. They use computers and equipment for their surgeries or to identify where issues may be in the heart. And so virtual reality, augmented reality, and mixed reality has become a way by which a lot of industries are actually conducting training courses because of several reasons. One, safety, right? You can actually perform and practice skills in a safe environment without a danger to a patient in this instance, right? But it's also from a standpoint of becoming more comfortable, becoming more confident, because you can perform a procedure over and over and over again in this space. So what we've done at the Heart Rhythm Society is we've actually created a product that's called Heart Rhythm VR. And what this is, it is a virtual reality clinical skills training course with a training mode and an assessment mode. But it is for electrophysiologists, and we have now released uh, our first module, which is SICD, which is implantable cardiac devices or pacemakers, right? An implantation module. So from preparing a patient, sterilizing a patient, draping a patient, sterilizing your hands, as a physician, to actual surgical procedure where you're creating the lateral incisions, tunneling the trocars and electrical lead lines up to the heart and through the body, creating, taking out a pacemaker device, attaching that device, inserting that device, and suturing and closing the wound. So a standard procedure can now be performed by experienced electrophysiologists, fellows in training, allied health professionals who are sort of the comprise the backbone of the team, or the assistants, the engineers who are actually making these devices, medical students, and even the general public, or kids that are, fostering sort of students into thinking about careers in medicine. So, by using this technology, this virtual and augmented reality technology, these types of training courses have been shown to improve knowledge retention, to boost confidence. They're much more cost effective than actually using, cadavers or, expensive simulators. And it's something that somebody can practice in the privacy of their own home should they choose. Now, we've created a mode where, obviously it walks you step by step through the training, but then it also does an assessment. So you're you're allowed to have you have to have a very high score, because obviously you want your physician to be extremely well prepared. But we've then been able to tie that back to, a learning system. So like I said, in my role, I'm responsible for all types of digital media and how to train, these doctors, whether it's, in-person conferences or YouTube, tutorials or didactic lectures. We've been able to tie that back to the assessment mode. So if you have a misstep in a procedure, it's like, hold on, here's a video or a course that you can take that will actually course correct you, and then you can try it again. So, to your point and to your question, how can we leverage, these types of technologies for prevention or early detection, or for even procedures? It's really just more practice. It's more practice, more knowledge. It's the ease of accessibility to be able to study, to perform, and to assess. And so, I'm really excited about where this is going. We have another module which is going to be releasing probably in the next 4 to 6 weeks, which is an AF ablation. So if you've ever heard of AFib, or atrial fibrillation, this is one of the core procedures that is performed by these doctors, as it relates to these types of heart conditions. So we're really excited about that. We're really excited about the possibilities of what this virtual reality space can do, because not only is it a single player mode, it's a multiplayer mode. So you can have a whole medical team actually performing a procedure together. You can have a luminary in the field, or a key opinion leader that's actually coming in as a guest and instructing students and physicians in this virtual environment. So there's just so much possibility. And if you think about where surgeries are going, remote surgeries, I mean, this is just kind of a conduit to train more and more physicians for where technology is going in the future.
And that's awesome. It's one thing, you know, I think many people outside of gaming don't think about, right? We have all this technology in gaming and we're using it for fun, right? We're playing our VR games, you know, we're getting online with our friends in VR chat and running around as whatever we want to do, but it seems like it's almost rare that people think of this technology in a space of, well, how can I use this to better train my team to do their job better? How can I use this to connect with maybe my clients or my colleagues on the other side of the world, right? And that's stuff that's really kind of still new in our society. So it's really cool to see, obviously, you doing that with Heart Rhythm Society and see kind of where that goes in the future. Because it's just so important. Technology's here. It's not going to go anywhere. You're not going to get rid of it. You have to embrace it and bring it in wherever you can.
Absolutely. I mean, and think about where you know what the new craze is now, right? AI, right? Obviously, you were talking, you know, AR, VR, MXR, and the applications there, but AI is proving to have tremendous application in the medical field. Like, you know, I've even seen a couple instances where, you know, AI is helping to pre-diagnose, you know, potential health conditions in individuals, or finding or recommending, you know, potential treatments, drug therapies, whatever, by just being specific on your prompt and, you know, having either, you know, patient data or scenario building. So, I mean, if you know, it's the future of medicine, and the beauty of it is that those of us who've been in technology and gaming for years and years and years, we understand it, right? But it's up to us as well, and we have that responsibility to bring our, you know, our fellow mankind up to speed. And so platforms like this, and, you know, some of the things that I'm working on, that's why I'm so excited about the future of gaming, technology, and medicine.
Absolutely. Matt, did you have anything to add before we move on?
He is way smarter than I am. No, no, I think no, I think it's so key. Like I think about, you know, some of the technology and the emerging technology, even at Wilmington University, where I work at, we have a game design and development degree, and one of the things that was built to the point of not just health but just advocacy of people was a virtual reality house, trash house, for our child advocacy certificate. So when a professional human services professional needs to go in and, unfortunately, you know, take a child from a terrible situation, they were able to make a virtual reality place and have our students go through and be able to go through the house and mark what they would do and different things like that, where before it was basically you trash a room and you try to simulate it that way. And our students were able to connect a more robust opportunity for students to learn about that field. So again, the power of technology, the power of gaming, this virtual reality, and then even as Stephen just mentioned, you know, the potential, the positive potential that's there for AI. You know, we're just at the beginning of this. So it's great to see the emergence, Joe, to your point, of not just, you know, gaming being looked at or esports or anything like that, but it's going to not just be impactful a person who plays, and I know we'll get into that in a few minutes, but it's actually going to be opportunities to change fields of studies and to, quite frankly, make the world a better place. And that's very exciting.
It is. That's incredibly exciting. And it's something I think even 10 years ago, we probably wouldn't even as gamers thought it was possible to get what we use every day into the hands of everyday industries. Right. So with that said, let's just kind of move right on into esports. And I know the two of you now, you're leveraging esports. You're kind of pioneering that space out there in Delaware. And Matt, we'll start with you here. What kind of drew you to esports and bringing it to I mean, your system there at WilmU?
Yeah, I mean, going back to some of what I said before was what I saw during the pandemic with my nephew and the power that was there. And it wasn't just, I was a Madden player, Mario, pro wrestling games. Come on, mindless, just sitting there and just, how many rock bottoms could I put on a guy? Like just that. But the sophistication of the game and the strategy that was needed in a different way with that was powerful. And then this connection, and again, never thought of it. And that's the genius of Future First Gaming and other organizations like them out there, to harness that, to realize that there is skill developments for the quote unquote real world out there. And so that workforce development programming was that thing where it just clicked for me, that this is a potential leveraging opportunity for younger people and old, but younger people. And if we're speaking with the FFG programming, they're in the gaming world, harnessing a passion of theirs to not just show them that, hey, this could potentially be a career, but hey, these are skills that you're going to use in your life, no matter what field of study or field of employment you go into, or just in general, collaboration, teamwork, communication, all of the critical thinking, all of these skills, these are just good human skills. And so they're harnessing that for that. And that's what Wilmington University is all about. I mean, we are about helping our community, opportunity for all in education. And so to come alongside of FFG to be able to offer more options and more pathways for people, particularly with the vision and the audience that FFG is looking to meet with Black and Brown as well. Just giving more opportunity for people to see that this is truly a potential career, and also a betterment of yourself. And so that was really the attraction that got there. And then as I looked to not just the space of Wilmington, but then the larger ecosystem of just esports, I could not believe all that is going on and all that is out there. And it was this thing that is just quietly continuing to bubble and bubble and bubble. And I just thought it was so important. One, I thought it was important for me to learn about it, both personally and professionally. But two, I thought it was a space that we have to be in. And if we don't get in it now at the beginning stages of this, particularly just in Delaware, that we're going to lose out. And so I thought it was just important from a professional standpoint to be involved. So I jumped in, and come to find out, there were many, many people who were thinking the same thing and maybe wanted to do something. Some wanted to do and didn't know what to do. Some of us just saw the potential and didn't really know what esports looked like, and we wanted to jump in anyway. So we've brought that together and been able to partner with FFG to really start something that I think is potentially going to be something great.
Absolutely. And Steve, on your side, what kind of brought you into this space?
So it goes back to when I was a kid, man. Like I've had a passion for technology since I can remember, probably about 4 or 5 years old. My grandpa, man, he had a TV repair shop, right? So when I would go to my grandparents' house, and I spent a lot of time there as a kid, I'd be in his shop, messing around with monitor or TVs at the time. And he was one of the first people that I know that actually invested in a home computer. And so this was like, and I'm dating myself, but floppy disk days, man, where you had to insert the freaking disk in the computer, flip the switch down, wait for that thing to boot up. And then you were getting these little, 2D, games like Pong and, climbing a freaking block mountain. It was, but it just drew me in because I'm a competitive person by nature. I love technology. I would just sit in that shop, and when he was working on televisions, I would be over his shoulder, like, how does this circuitry work with soldering iron? What are we doing? Like I can't even all the different devices I can go into. But and then downtime, like, he would go in the house, and I'd go back in his office and go on the computer and start playing games, right? So that's where the passion started. And then from there, I got into regular sports, so I'm extremely competitive. I've always kept my love for video games through, Sega, through Atari, through, Genesis, Dreamcast, N64, NES, you name it. I had an Xbox. Now I migrated to Xbox and I became an Xbox guy more than PlayStation. But then I started getting into kind of like taking a look at this PC game world and seeing what this was kind of all about, right? So, um, never lost the competitive fire, never lost the passion for gaming, but the real world hit, man, and I had to be, follow my parents' advice. You got to go a traditional route. You got to go to school. You got to get a degree. Like, games are going to be a waste of time. You can't sit here and play video games your whole life. Even though my desire was to be a developer or a video game tester. So I kind of tried my hat. I went in, and I went into engineering, electrical engineering, and I sat down in my first comp sci class. I was bored out of my mind. So I was like, nope, this isn't for me. So I went and I had a very eclectic career in terms of business, man. I went, did sales, right? I did marketing, and then I did, some education background and working for a nonprofit for teachers. And then I did some economic development work. Saying all this to say, like, I see everything in my professional career that I've done, which is embodied in FFG. So I met Malcolm Coley, my co-founder, and Nudie Felton, my other co-founder, about 4 years ago at a business entrepreneurial event, and we connected, and we said, all right, let's talk about how we can grow our respective companies. And during that conversation, something about a video game came up, and I was like, you play games like that? And, then we just all started talking about the different games we play, and we started talking crap on each other. Oh, I'll bust your butt here and da da da. And then we were like, yo, like, why does Delaware not have any competitive gaming scene, or even a place where, kids can go and just hang out and game? So we were like, yo, let's start a company, by which we would the goal was to just create tournaments, right? Just create like maybe a couple tournaments a month where get kids off the street. We were, Delaware was known at one time as kind of like just a really scary place, especially the city of Wilmington. There had been a documentary done about it, and we were just like, we got to do something and create something positive to help impact these kids. And so we started Futures First Gaming, and like I said, it really began just to hold competitions, and we actually launched our company February 2020. We had a launch event scheduled for March 14th, 2020. We had Microsoft that was going to bring, consoles and VR equipment and all that. We sold out. And what happened on March 12th? The world shut down, right? So we freaked out for about an hour, and we were like, yo, like, what are we going to do? We've invested all this time and energy and resources. And we were like, yo, bro, like, we play games online. Like, we can just go online and do everything that we were going to do, but just have it in, in a virtual space. And so we did. And we had our first tournament. We had like maybe 12 compete, whereas like we had like 50 that were going to be in the in-person, but we had 12 compete, and we were like, we did it, right? So we started building from there, built a Discord, and really started to understand more about the industry, had more tournaments, started to grow a following. But then we said, hey, like, why aren't there more people that look like us? Why aren't there more girls in this space, and or women in this space, excuse me? And we started looking at the industry and trying to understand, like, one, why we couldn't have more people that look like us represented in the face of this industry. It started to blow up, as we all know. Given the pandemic, there were no traditional sports. Like, esports became the thing. Even ESPN was having, esports tournaments replacing its traditional programming, but we still continued to not see ourselves represented. But then looking at all of the back end, right, it was like, yo, like, there is so much opportunity and so many professional roles that are tied to this industry. There's game developers, game designers, gaming houses, right? But then in the competitive scene, I looked and I was like, there's production value here. There are graphic design, there's video editing, there's marketing, like there's a whole engine that powers this esports industry. So as we began to, our tournaments got bigger, right? We started to need help. And we were like, who else can help us run and manage these tournaments? But then it was like they need to be skilled and trained on how to do it. So we were like, we could create a whole curriculum that shows kids who may be bored with traditional school, or may not see themselves represented, or may just already be doing this stuff and not have a structured way to do it, or guidance on what opportunities are out there. And we said we could actually turn our company from just a gaming and entertainment company into an education company. And so, we said, okay, we're going to do that. We created a program by which kids can learn these skills. And we really wanted to make sure that that was legit. So we went out and we got accredited by STEM.org as an actual organization that trains, teaches skills, and has a credential behind it. So it's actually, valid and legit. And so, from an esports standpoint, we really didn't just want to kind of be the same as everybody else that's out there, that we're just holding tournaments or, fielding teams. We really wanted to create something that provided value, and provided a future and provided opportunity. And hence, our name, Futures First Gaming, our tagline is futures first, start with gaming, because we believe that, you pick up a video game controller or power up a PC, you unlock a world of future opportunity in this space. So that's kind of how we got into esports. Like, we wanted to just create, a safe space and a fun space to do this. But when we recognized that there was opportunity to make an impact and really provide kids with, a structured pathway for something that they're already passionate about, it was just a no-brainer. And it was the best thing for us here at FFG, because our company has just kind of, the momentum has just propelled us forward way more than we could have imagined.
Absolutely. And I think you kind of brought up a great point there. These kids that are maybe bored with school, or don't see themselves represented. I feel like in a lot of our school systems nowadays, kids aren't really challenged as much as they need to be, right? So having these programs outside of school, give them another avenue to kind of work their brain, work that mental muscle, and learn some new skills that can translate anywhere in any industry, right? I'm currently in recruiting, and one thing I see a lot from a lot of these financial institutions and different institutions that we work with is they're looking for Unity designers. Well, what is Unity used for? It's used to make games. So you teach these kids they can program in Unity. They're maybe they're aspiring to be a game developer, so they learn these skills, and maybe there's just not a job out there developing in Unity. Well, now you have this skill. You can go work for, Volkswagen, work in their financial office, build their programs in Unity there. Go work for Coca-Cola in their whatever office they have for their finance, or maybe another office that's using Unity and code for them there. It just opens up so many different avenues for these kids to really be able to grow outside of gaming, but also within the gaming space. And I actually have here, I wrote them down so I didn't forget, the FFG workforce program, and we'll have you kind of touch on that. And then Matt, we're going to go over to the WilmU side of this. But this is just some things that these, and I believe it's mostly middle and high school kids, if I'm not mistaken. These are just some of the things they can learn in these programs: programming and game design,
Yep.
marketing, live streaming,
Yep.
video editing, and event production. Now, of those, 1, 2, 3, 4 of those we use for this show right here. And we're doing it all for free. We don't get paid for this, but these are skills that Mizzy has learned throughout her years in her job, that I've learned through streaming here for a couple of years, that Trusted Beard has learned through certain courses and stuff he does with his own esports group, TFR. And it's all transferable, right? No one, you never think about it because it's always under the guise of gaming. Oh, well, you're just playing video games. Well, yes, but we're doing all of this too. So yeah, definitely, like, Steve, speak to that workforce program, and what are you seeing some of these kids kind of taking away from being a part of that program?
Absolutely, man. I'm so excited about our workforce program and what it has done for our, not only for these kids, but our partnership with WilmU and just the esports landscape in general. So I'll tell you a little bit about, kind of give you a framework of how it works. So, as I said, when we really wanted to try to make sure that we had an impact, we said, okay, where are the opportunities? And so the state of Delaware has a program and has a focus on workforce training and workforce development, and especially, in technology. So we applied to the state. We wrote a proposal and basically said, hey, let's use video games, which is one of the most popular industries in the world, with 3 billion plus people identifying as gamers. Let's use video games as the carrot to attract kids ages 14 to 18 and teach them valuable and critical technology skills. So the way our program works is students have to apply, and they have to be approved by the state. And when they so do, they get a choice. They can choose 2 pathways or 2 directions, either game design and, or content creation and entrepreneurship, right? So if it's a 3-month program, it's 3 nights a week, 3 hours a week, so it's 9 hours a week. Anybody that chooses game design, they get to go through and learn HTML, Java, CSS, comp sci, and Unity, right? And at the end of that, they will have coded their own web page, which is about them as a gamer, with links, a functioning nav, and links to like their YouTube channel or anything that they want to use to highlight themselves. They will also created a very basic task-based video game using Unity engine. If the students choose content creation, then they go through and they learn uh, the entrepreneurship, the business of entrepreneurship. They learn digital marketing. They actually look at themselves and see themselves as a brand. So they learn, brand design, digital marketing, and then we teach them how to live stream so that then they can create content, capture that content, and then edit that content into a promotional video of their self brand. And then social media marketing so that they can then take that content, put it out there, and start to build their own following, and then show them how to monetize that and become entrepreneurs. The entire full group has a group project where they come together 1 day a week and they learn event production with the goal of throwing their own esports tournament at the end of the program. And so after 3 months, they've not only learned either how to code or how to become entrepreneurs, but they've learned how to form a business and work on a project together. And if you think about all of those skills, they are not just confined to the esports industry. We also work with them on a digital portfolio so that they have something to show to potential employers. We work with them on resume building, interview prep, and this is what really makes this program great. 2 things. One, because it's sponsored by the state, they can choose to either go through that program and get paid to learn these skills, or choose to go through that program unpaid and then get guaranteed a 6-month internship, either working for FFG or one of our partner companies, paid for, sponsored by the state. So we are building an actual workforce that can contribute to our company or another company who we have a partnership with. The beauty of our relationship with Matt and WilmU is that that program has been reviewed by Matt and his team and the WilmU staff, and now is worth 6 college credits that they can then transfer into WilmU and pursue any one of their degree programs. So that is why we're so excited about this program, and how, our relationship with WilmU is truly creating a pipeline for kids from, high school to to university into the workforce, or high school to workforce, and then potentially back to university to bolster, opportunities that they've already secured. So what we're seeing out of our program is either, kids who never knew these opportunities existed, now getting jobs in electronic departments at, consumer stores, going to places like Full Sail University, which is all about esports production and technology. We have some of our instructors that are Wilmington University students, and they're being employed by FFG. And then we are seeing students now live streaming, bringing home hundreds of dollars per month, impacting their households, using something, a tool by which it doesn't even feel like work to them. It's something that they just enjoy doing, and they become extremely personable, marketable, and a lot of them break out of their shells. We tend to see when they come on and come into the program, all we see is a name and a blank screen if we're doing Zoom meetings, right? By the end of the course, they're full face, and we can't get them to stop talking because they're so confident in who they are and their ability to sell themselves. And it's just is setting them up for success in life.
And that's fantastic. And P-Prof in the chat, man, I wish this existed 20 years ago. P-Prof, I 1000% agree. 20 years ago, I was 11 years old. I thought I was a badass at Rainbow Six Vegas. And if this stuff was out there then, man, let me tell you, I would have been pro years ago. You wouldn't even see me working in staffing right now. But, kind of getting back to that education piece and kind of back to that workforce program. And Matt, I'm going to throw this over to you. But of that workforce program, we have 1, 2, 3, 4 of those skills, 4 of those courses that they're learning through FFG are also offered by WilmU in their program. So Matt, tell me first, I guess you guys had a game design program prior to your partnership with FFG. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's correct. We had a great mind for the business for Delaware and probably beyond. His name was Scott Shaw, and he had a vision more than 10 years ago of he saw all of this. And he's probably not on the stream, but I wish he was for the shout out. But he saw the potential of not just building games in the game industry per se, but what could be done to things that Stephen was talking about with the virtual reality and all of that. And he saw that just the trends that we're currently seeing here. And so we've been in that space for quite a few years as far as that goes. This then bubbled up again because of this, as you heard, this phenomenal workforce development programming. And what we wanted to do was to, and as Stephen said so much, we wanted to give options, opportunity, pathways for people, whether that's, to Stephen's point, they start streaming, they start doing this, and it works, and that's great. There might be others who want to go in and learn the different crafts or go the traditional route, or they're having conversations with their parents. And again, parents may want them to do a traditional route. Okay, well, we can still cater the skill building to what's going on. So it was all about options and opportunity, and that's really why we went the certificate route. It complemented the work that FFG was doing, not just in the workforce development space, but also going in and thinking about the development from a state, thinking again, Delaware, the state of Delaware, and building educational pathways as well. So this would just be a common element that would easily transition for those people who are building up that portfolio of skills and of talents to be able to seamlessly transition into higher education if that's what they choose through this certificate. So again, we were able to look at the curriculum that was that FFG's been doing. As Stephen said, we were able to award the 6 credits, but also we have people in the space at Wilmington University who want this certificate. There are people outside of of FFG programming that want this certificate. So we wanted to make sure that they have the same type of, there we go, got a student, done, ching, good. But that they were able to get the skills that were going on within the FFG programming as well. And so we wanted to mirror that and make sure that they built such a great program. Why not mirror that opportunity? What we've done then in the certificate is to continue to enhance the skills that are already going on in FFG, and or bring in some different elements that continue to build their portfolio as they go. The one advantage to the certificate here is we have something called dual credit advantage, where a student can come in for a certificate, but then as they think about it, there might be an associate's degree or a bachelor's degree that they want to go. We can embed those credits within their bachelor's degree as well. So they're not doubling over and retaking classes that they've already learned, but we can also customize their degree. So when they walk out of here, they can say, yes, I have, and I'm going to just use an example, but I have a bachelor's degree in business with an esports certificate. So again, that I've taken this type of, I've done a business degree and understand that, or I've done a marketing degree, or, think of this nonprofit work. We're talking about Pancreatic Cancer Action Network getting into the esports field. This is going to be bigger and bigger as nonprofits. I think quite frankly, I think it is an untapped market for fundraising for nonprofits and different things. I don't think they've tapped it, and I think it's a lot. In Matt Wilson's opinion, it's just a lack of understanding at the moment because it is the Wild West so much in esports and e-gaming. But that's an side comment there. So again, we wanted this certificate to be the opportunity to dangle an important carrot of that they are involved with and engaged with, and be able to see career pathways in whatever direction they want to go. And we want to be there to support them. So we thought this was the best way to build a solid foundation for people that they'd be able to move into other areas that they'd like to go in the future.
Absolutely. And just to kind of touch back to that, the fundraising and, the nonprofit work in this space, we do see a lot, top name athletes hosting maybe a golf tournament for charity, or, a pickup basketball game for charity. And I'm sure it happens. It's just not, as widespread, but you don't see a lot of esports tournaments for charity. And when you do, it's always the big names, just like in sports. Dr. Disrespect does a charity for, Call of Duty tournament, or Dr. Lupo hosts, a month-long charity drive for St. Jude. And these guys are raising millions of dollars in one stream or one weekend for these fundraisers. So in your opinions, and, just take turns, we'll throw to Matt first on this one. How do we get these esports spaces kind of in front of these nonprofit organizations?
I think a lot. Sometimes I'm going to go back to, I think, the passion that connected me back to the Pancreatic Cancer Action Network. So I lean in on this a lot, is that grassroots. It's awareness. It's telling the story. It's being out there. It's not this hidden thing that we don't talk about, that we are gamers, and that there is this potential that is there. And there is this network, a business industry of billions and billions of dollars that's untapped there. And I think some of that is, I've heard so many times when I'm talking to certain people who are in the esports arena, particularly in higher education, they said, well, their boss, one of the higher tier bosses, had a kid that might have been gaming or something like that. Similar to story almost to what I was talking about, that they might have been a gamer when they were a kid, do we ever really leave the gaming? I mean, you think about it, like, come on, everybody's doing Candy Crush these days. Let's get real. So that was always telling faculty when we did the presentation. I'm like, y'all are sitting there while I'm talking, playing games. So anyway, but like, they see again the sophistication, but then we've got information at our fingertips. They begin to Google and analyze, and again, they connect the dots. That seems to be the theme that's here. So I think it's really important for us, similar to the advocacy that I've talked about with pancreatic cancer and things like that. I think it's similar here to make that connection that is there, that this is an untapped resource and market. And if you really, if you really think about it, look at the major sport leagues. What are they adding in? Because of viewership and all of that, they're leaning into esports. And so I think we can see all of these traditional quote unquote industries that are out there that are beginning to lean into this. And I think that's, again, just pointing that out and being an advocate for the importance of what's we've been talking about here, not just in the health space, but the durable skills, the transferable skills that we're talking about. And again, just awareness and advocacy, I think, is so key in this space.
Yeah,
Steve?
I'd say, I'd say a shift in mindset needs to happen, especially, in the nonprofit space, right? Like, traditionally, every nonprofit that I've been involved with or worked for has a sense of tradition, right? And we've always done it this way. Typically, that service mentality started with a group of individuals, very early in life, and they've carried it through. And it's taken a while for nonprofits to become, successful. And so a lot of those folks were in it for the long haul, right? But they grew up with the mindset of lack of understanding of what all is behind gaming. So they just have the mindset of, is that really going to work? Is it going to make our organization look trivial, or just maybe have a conscious bias toward the gaming industry? Where I've seen the success of these opportunities is when sort of those individuals just say, hey, I want to be innovative. I want to try something different, and I'm going to allow or let those that have the expertise, the knowledge, the energy, and the passion just try something different, try something new. There's nothing to lose and everything to potentially gain for organizations that are willing to do this. The problem is a lot of them just may not have staff on hand that are familiar with it. But you got to remember, you've got a slew of volunteers ranging from many, many ages. Now, obviously, the pandemic truly shone a light on what the power of esports can do. I think I saw a Deloitte study that said about 34% of the population, that's boomers, Xers, millennials, Zs, all of them, tried a video game during the pandemic, so something new. So, hearts and minds are open, and more and more people are embracing it. And a lot more, I'm seeing like a lot more community centers are starting to even put in and install esports spaces, because they see, the opportunity for, one, engagement, but two, just what this can do from a funding perspective, right? So I feel like, like FFG, we've done several charity streams, we've been a part of those, and they've all, been successful. But like, it doesn't take a lot to do a stream. So if you can mobilize and involve as many people as possible in something like what Pancan is doing with this initiative, there's the potential to generate, a significant amount of funds for your organization. You just have to be willing to take a chance.
Absolutely. And I think that's kind of on the money there, right? PanCan, they wanted to get into this, and they took a chance on GamersWeCare. They didn't know what to expect working with us. Just, a handful of people. that just do this for fun, right? And there was some learning, there was some back and forth that had to be done in this, because it's like you said, it's a new space. They've been doing it the same way all this time. And many of us, I know myself here in Atlanta, Trusted Beard out in Florida, and I think one other bio nerd out in Milwaukee made it out to Purple Stride this year. And I went out to Purple Stride in Atlanta, and we are sitting there, and they're doing their whole presentation, and they had raised almost $500,000 before we had even gotten to Purple Stride, before we even started walking. That money was already there. So the community in this case, pancan, the community's there. Their highest fundraiser was a high school kid. And he's going to be going to Duke University this year. Unfortunately, my wife's probably out there cringing. She's UNC diehard. But you have these kids, fundraising for, it was a grandparent. He's very likely he's playing games at home when he's not studying, when he's not out. Maybe he's got a job, but these things exist, and they can take advantage of it. And Pancan saw it, which is how this came to be. And it's a wonderful thing that these organizations are kind of starting to open their eyes and really see what this space can do, because the community is transferable, right? Community is everywhere, and you can find it in all these different pockets.
And one of the things, when it comes back to Stephen talking about innovation, with the Pancreatic Cancer Action Network, there is no early, and making the comparison to this, there's no early detection right now for pancreatic cancer again. Guess who is in the space wanting to lean in to make sure that we have the most aggressive clinical trials, the most aggressive research going on, that we're raising the most money that has ever happened, both from a private, but also from not professional, but government funding and different things like that. It's Pancan. They were the ones that have changed the way in which clinical trials are looked at to speed up, because it was taking too long to get medicines to the market. Pancan was there. They brought in pharmaceutical. They brought in leading researchers. They brought the government in, and they changed the way in which clinical trials are being done from their standpoint. So the idea of when something is at 4% when the organization was built, when I got involved 6%, and still even to this day, it's great that we're in the double digits, but only 12% survival rate. Time is of the essence. And so you need to be aggressive, you need to be innovative. And so any way that we can partner with people who have a passion for this disease and a passion for making things that are wrong in the world right, the Pancan is all about that. And so again, I'm not surprised that when I brought this crazy idea up to them in their minds, that they were thinking about it and how can this work within that. And I'll share a cool story of how that all came about, in a little bit as well.
Absolutely. So we'll kind of push forward here. One thing I did want to touch on that we kind of skipped over, and this ties in with events and learning how to kind of build these events both in nonprofit and in esports, is, you, Steve, and FFG and WilmU are now hosting events at WilmU. You guys did Girls Who Game and Fall Brawl last year, and probably Fall Brawl again this year. I know it's an annual thing you guys do. So how have those events kind of culminated in Delaware, and how has the feedback from that been?
Yeah, I mean, I'm, really, really grateful. And FFG is really grateful to WilmU for just allowing us to have, the opportunity to host in partnership with them at their campuses. So we started, our first event was last summer together, Girls Who Game 2022, and we had that at the Pratt Student Center at WilmU. And so we had, 3 tournaments. We had PC building workshop. We had, educational panels. It was a hybrid tournament. We had, a great buzz, good turnout, on campus. And it was kind of just the first sort of introduction to our partnership together, and really teasing of what was a sign of things to come. And then we had Fall Brawl 2022, Pandemonium 2022, and Girls Who Game 2023 at the new Barcelona campus on WilmU. And that's where they just recently launched their new law school. And so that is also though where the esports lab, WilmU's esports team is meets and holds court, so to speak. And so it's a beautiful building, very very modern looking. The lab is great. Tons of Alienware PCs. It's freaking awesome. But we've just been able to take advantage of the partnership to have a space where we can attract individuals from all over. Like we've had people from DC, Maryland, New Jersey, Pennsylvania, New York, all come and probably take a look at a venue which they may never have even heard of before. And so it gives not only Futures First Gaming a place to really convene and fellowship and have fun and bring the community together, but it also exposes them to Wilmington University and all that WilmU has to offer. And what I'd say is we've really gained a lot of traction in the Super Smash Brothers community. We're starting to be known as sort of a major player in that space. Our esports tournaments for Smash are Smash Power ranking events. We're drawing top players from multiple states to those events. And our recent in-person event had about 60 some players, and we just had an online event for Smash last week that had 77 participants. So our next event with WilmU is going to be Pandemonium 2023 this December, again at the Barcelona campus, and we're expecting some really good traffic and good numbers, and really excited about doing more with them.
Yeah, every event's been a first. You know what I mean? We had obviously first event for WilmU, but also first high school competition was that one of these events. We're going to do, we've had our esports team that's been engaged and involved there. We're working on hopefully holding some collegiate matches as well. So again, it's been a lot of different firsts for the state of Delaware, and we want to continue that both with WilmU and with FFG as well. That's something that's super exciting.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's great to see, when I was in college, right after I graduated, this timing was always just so perfect. Right after I graduated, really, you saw a lot of colleges getting into the esports space. And, then you start to see collegiate League of Legends teams, collegiate Fortnite competitions, and all of this, and for scholarships, right? And I think that's one thing that most people maybe don't realize is this is being looked at the collegiate level as a legitimate sport to be able to get a college scholarship and cut down on that, that college tuition that people like myself are still paying on almost 12 years later. And it's just fantastic to see. So Matt, how has WilmU kind of dropped into that space? Do we have any comp teams that are joining any NCAA leagues for esports yet, or what does that look like?
Yeah, so from NCAA standpoint, they're still discussing esports and all that, but there are conferences and divisions that are developing outside of the NCAA as well. Wilmington University, we do have an esports competitive team. I forget all the games that are there because we just approved three or four new ones that are there. But we do have and what a time to launch a team was basically January of 2020. And so the team was virtual for a while, and now is actually, we were pulling from a lot of our students because we have 13 locations throughout New Jersey and Delaware, but then also we're a fully online school as well. So we have people all over the world who attend. We're enrollment's about 20,000 students. So again, we were pulling from our large student base, and now that we're reopened and things are normalized, and we have a strong online presence, but then also competitors who want to use, as Stephen said, our esports lab that has launched as well. So we've got that. On the non-competitive side as well, we have a robust gaming club that is just about getting the community together centered around gaming. And so they have gaming nights and things like that. They've had I know they've had plenty of parties and different things like that. So again, I brought it up. It's about building, and this is what we're about. It's about building the ecosystem in the community. in a way. So it's been a powerful thing for us as well. Hey Joe, I got a special guest here.
Yeah,
That
please.
just popped in the room. Can I bring him? Can I bring him on?
Please do. Please
And
do.
then I'll share a story real quick. So, as I said, my nephew is the one that got me into all this mess. And anyway, one of the cool things. Say hi, Jackson. Hi. So this is Jackson.
Hello,
So
Jackson.
one of the cool things about Minecraft was I was watching him one time during the pandemic, and we at the Pancreatic Cancer Action Network turns the Joe, as you mentioned, the Purple Stride 5K obviously changed virtual like most events, and so it would be a walk from home event and all those different things. Somebody said hi to you in the chat. Anyway, so I go downstairs to watch him play, and he's messing around with stuff, and he's building some purple things. And I said, "What are you doing?" He goes, "You know how you have your virtual walk?" I go, "Yeah." He said, "What if we had a purple world in Minecraft, like where people?" And I'm like, "Wait, you could build your avatar, and you could walk around, and they could have stats and informational links and all this kind of stuff." And it was just one of those fleeting, you probably don't even remember it, right?
No, I do.
Oh, you do? Okay. So it was one of those just, things that popped up. And anyway, that's kind of what got actually the next day I was talking to an executive at Pancreatic Cancer Action Network and mentioned that as well. And lo and behold, that kind of started the whole conversation. So anyway, Jackson's here. Just wanted to pop him on and say hi. But Joe, I think you got. Oh, and my niece is here too. You want to come over with me? Geez, everybody.
We got the whole family there.
Got the
today.
whole crew. This is my niece Everly. So anyway, Joe, did you want to show Jackson something?
Yeah. I'm trying to get Trusted Beard here to pull his screen up for us. And we'll get Jackson a view. So Jackson, I was talking to your Uncle Matt here a couple of months ago, and he had mentioned to me that you had this idea to build a purple stride in Minecraft, or a purple world for Minecraft. And so GamersWeCare, we got a bunch of people together, and we actually built what we're calling the Purple Block Parade. So we built a track, we built this whole little section in the world, all for pancan, and we've got, looks like Trusted Beard pulling up his screen for us now. Let me see if I can pull this up. Looks like he has landed in the plane here in Minecraft. We've got our purple plane here. He's coming off the plane for us. And what we have here, we're going to do this on July 29th. So anyone who is interested in joining us, we will get you the information to come join us on our Purple Block Parade. That'll be 1 p.m. Eastern on July 29th. And we built this whole area. We found the perfect spot for us to do all this. We built a boardwalk. We kind of modeled this after the Florida Purple Stride event. And what they did in Florida is they had this boardwalk that went all around this lake. That had, they did their walk. There was purple everywhere. They had their banners. And so we were able to get, we had Deadly Pants from TikTok, who played a lot of Minecraft. He helped us. He built a lot of this stuff here. We also had some people from the TFR community build, I believe this aquarium Beard is about to walk through here was built by one of his community members. I went in there, I was helping build a lot of this stuff. We had Rick Shade here in the chat. He's the one that actually built that plane for us. And then there was a 16-year-old kid on Reddit. Trusted Beard went out on Reddit to try and enlist some extra help. And he was like, hey, I would love to give you guys a hand. And he built us a little amethyst mart that Beard's going to pass here in a little bit. And so this is going to be the kickoff for our final event on July 29th. We're going to get as many people in here as possible. We're going to do the walk around the tree, around the lake. Take a look at everything, and then we're going to leave the world open for anyone that wants to play in it throughout that day while we're doing the rest of the event. So there's the Amethyst Mart there that Beard is walking past. There's the castle that we built there. There's also a roller coaster somewhere back there in the background that Beard might get to. And all of this was just for purple block is what we'll call it, because it's not Purple Stride, that's in April, but for pancan. So we wanted to build a virtual experience that maybe pancan could continue on the years ahead if they decide to continue this digital fundraising space in this in this area. And so Jackson, we'd love to have you in this come July 29th. Looks like Trusted Beard's having a little trouble there getting in the minecart. He's going to roll through the roller coaster. We're not going to watch him do the whole thing. The roller coaster is quite long, but it takes us all through this cavern here. It'll take you up through the castle and all that. And like I said, guys, July 29th, we'll get you the information. Anyone can join if you're on console, if you're on PC. I believe you can even join from mobile, the way we have the server set up through the Minecraft Pro hosting site. So yeah, definitely come join us for that. If you have parents that want to get in here with their kids, we can get them that information. It's going to be a ton of fun, and all in benefit of pancreatic cancer.
What do you think, bud?
I like it.
Good. Yeah, we needed your seal of approval, because if you didn't, we were just going to blow it all up and move on to something else. So thank you.
Him and his friends are good at that, for sure. But no. What do you think, Deb? Cool?
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. We got the approval. That's what we needed. Awesome.
So again, that's I mean, yeah, it all started. My story connects a lot with Jackson, my pancreatic story. He was less than a year old when I was diagnosed. So his first birthday was a hard moment for me, and I've been able to enjoy many, many, many more birthdays, and I continue to want to enjoy those. So he's been an inspiration for a lot of this craziness. So I appreciate it, though.
And we appreciate you, Jackson. We appreciate your wonderful idea and kind of giving us that idea to do this. And hopefully we can see you on July 29th, get you into the Minecraft world, and maybe at the end of the event we'll blow everything up, and you can help us blow up the tree and the minecart and everything. Awesome.
Cool. That's
all
awesome.
right.
That's
Trusted
awesome.
Beard, thank you for getting that pulled up for me. We're gonna let you keep riding the roller coaster there. We're gonna flip on back here, and one thing I want to talk about is kind of some of the challenges that maybe have arisen through this process with esports and bringing it into the school systems. Like you said earlier, Steve, with your parents and my parents as well, there was always that message, well, gaming's just going to be a waste of time. You need to go to college, get a degree. So what are some of kind of the pushback you guys have seen bringing this into your schools?
Yeah, I would say, I mean, the biggest thing has been, the biggest challenge has been redefining STEM, right? A lot of schools have a traditional outlook on what STEM education should look like. And, especially, let's, for example, Delaware, right? Their traditional definition around STEM has been chemtech or ag tech. FinTech has been something that, has been now accepted and is kind of the norm. But, the sort of designation of esports and the skills that are gained through this technology field has not really been understood, right? Especially at the education level. So what we've tried to do, one, as I mentioned, was really get legitimized as a company through our accreditation with STEM.org, so that at least it became more receptive for education institutions and organizations to listen. But then what we did was take it a step further, which was really to take a look at the Delaware and national standards for education, and really take a look at our curriculum and try to map that to specific standards, whether it's ISTE's technology standards or Delaware's technology or education standards. So that way, when we're making, calls or emails or, connecting through LinkedIn or doing presentations, we can clearly look at those rubrics, right? And say, hey, this component of our program meets this educational standards. Like, we've taken the guesswork out so that educators don't have to think, to be able to then go back to their, directors or their superintendents and say, yeah, we should try this program. And they asked him, well, how does this align with what we're trying to teach or our standards? Well, they can clearly present that. And so that has been an arming tool which has helped us be more widely accepted. But we've also been lucky in that we've been able to encounter really forward thinking leaders in the space. So Darrell Green, for example, who is the superintendent of Red Clay School District, which is the largest school district here in the state of Delaware, embraces what our vision is. And so he's been a champion and an advocate for helping us to get a relationship with the Red Clay District and specifically AI DuPont High School. So one of the things that we're doing with AI DuPont is designing the Delaware's first high school esports pathway program, which is a 3-year academic and a 4th-year uh, um, uh, experiential hands-on co-op program where students can now elect, at AI to take esports courses with an eye towards learning these skills, potentially getting dual credit, and then hopefully enrolling at WilmU. And so this is what we talk about as sort of the whole pipeline that we've been trying to build. Um, we've also been, in working on some pilot programs with the Department of Education because, they have an interest in esports and the academic side. They just really haven't had an expert in their own space in house, right? And so, they're continuously learning, exploring what the options and possibilities are. But we've had a hand in partnering and working with them to help them to see the value of incorporating an esports program at the statewide level, right? Like, the academic benefits, we talked about some of those: critical thinking, hard skills, soft skills, teamwork, communication. But as Matt alluded to a little bit earlier, there's about $20 million every year that is available across 200 plus universities for scholarship money for esports to go to college. But about 4 to 5 million goes unused because there aren't enough programs and aren't enough players. And so, our work with AI is setting the foundation to then, be able to take that pathway program to at the state level, get it approved, and now we're setting these kids up for success. I've seen too many instances in my lifetime, which I'm sure you guys can attest to, of schools cutting funding for programs and extracurriculars, and student interest programs are just getting eliminated. Well, this now combines, you know, uh, the number one form of entertainment, according to Deloitte study, for millennials and Gen Zs, which is gaming, with academics, and reignites it, or sort of reinfuses um, education and transforms education at the high school level. So we're super excited about that. We actually just came back, Malcolm and I, from Las Vegas yesterday, where the city of Las Vegas and Teach for America Las Vegas have engaged with us to bring our program out there and pilot it for 3 months. So, we're really excited about the ability to spread this all across the nation, and looking forward to what else is to come in academics and education.
Yeah, and from my standpoint, and Stephen, I'm still trying to figure the connection between Delaware and Vegas. I'm kidding. No. But anyway, so one of the things that I heard, Joe, you mentioned the Esports Summit in Atlanta that I was at. That was an eye-opening. Just, I mean, really, the connections made there and all of that. We wouldn't be the university wouldn't. It was well worth the investment to go. So if you have an opportunity to go and you're in the space of esports or advocacy within a school, I would definitely say about going. But one of the things that we heard, even from students, current students, both high school and college, was there was just a concern of a full program and in esports, and even what the final exclamation point for me was there was a panel of college students that said, I think learning about esports and the skills and infusing it into my programming would be the best route. I texted a bunch of people back at WilmU and I said, we're going the certificate route. And because the great thing that we've set up is, yes, it's meeting the community needs that we've talked about. We've made it 100% online as well, so anybody can go into this type of program. So there's the flexibility that way. But when it comes to this question of education and parents and the discussion there, what we're doing is you're building, again, your skill building. You're exploring. It's a large educational sandbox for somebody to learn. You will be able to take this certificate and be able to embed it in the program and moving forward if you'd like. You have a certain type of credential walking out, even if that's all you do is the certificate. If you go into more, that's great. But again, if somebody says, yes, I'm in esports, I'm going in that way, I'm going to go into the production side or the data analytics side or marketing, whatever it is, the entrepreneurship of it. Or it could be, hey, I want to pursue this more, but I need to learn more in this skill, Python, for example, or something like that. So there's programming that they can go into at an associate's or bachelor's level. Or they could say, you know what, this is a passion I have. It's an activity that I have, but I really like this. Again, I've learned this skill and I really want to hone in on this. I want to hone in on marketing. They can go into the marketing as well. So think of that from a parent's standpoint, that you're having that conversation about education. What do you want to do with your life? All of those type of important conversations that are there. But also, if a parent is making an investment or putting their name on the line for an investment in higher education, they can feel confident that, yes, they're doing this, the child is doing something that they're passionate about, but they are learning. They're learning skills that are transferable to many, many industries. I mean, come on, how many industries have we talked about just on this in this conversation alone? Probably 7, 8 different industries that we've talked about. And we're just scratching the surface. So again, transferable skills, being able to equate them to the job market for today, but even more important, the job market for the future. And so I think we've set ourselves up well to be able to offer that with confidence. And as the industry grows, if the demand is there for more programming, this certificate is the foundation to be able to build more. So we're super excited of the strategy that we took and the people that we brought on to the table to have this deep conversation. We could have easily just made this a track in business or a track in it. We could have easily done that. But instead, again, going back to that idea of the ecosystem was so important to us.
Absolutely. And one thing I think that's also important, right, is you kind of touched on it there, having those conversations with the parents. One big part of this, and I think really building this space, is not only teaching the kids these skills, but educating the parents on what this really is. Your kid's not sitting in a classroom 8 hours a day just playing Fortnite. He's learning skills that transfer outside of that game. And I do see that a lot in the world we live in, that a lot of parents still, even when I was working at GameStop, my kid's so smart. He can totally work this. He's 3 years old. I'm going to buy him a DS, and he's going to play every game on that DS because he's so smart. And then a week later, they bring it back. Oh, it was too much for him. He didn't quite know it yet. Well, that's fine. Completely understandable. Come back to it. Don't just toss it aside and say, hey, you know what? That wasn't for him. He could just play on his iPhone. No big deal. We just need him to be preoccupied with something. But it's more than that. It's not, gaming is not a babysitter anymore. It's a real life skill, real career pathway. And so how is that educating the parents been kind of different from educating the superintendents, the directors on what this space is?
Yeah, for us, so that's my favorite audience to talk to is parents, because I know what it felt like as a kid to hear things like, it's a waste of time, don't put that on, don't break my television, why don't you go outside and do something, et cetera, et cetera. Like, and so when we speak to parents, you know, we really try to help them understand first and foremost is that encouraging your child's passion, supporting your child in whatever they're passionate about goes a long way toward your communication with that individual, whether or not they choose to pursue a career in this space. Is really going to come down to them having a complete understanding of every opportunity that's available in this space. And you, as a parent, also understanding that so you can have an informed conversation with them and be a part of it. I mean, there's so many positives to parents learning about this, um, and translating that into communication or forging even more bonds with their child, right? Like, on I'll talk to a little bit about how we tend to get them to understand and actually do a 180. But I'll also talk to the fact that we had an individual who was a father. He was in a rough situation with his child's mother, and the only way that he would get to connect with his child was online through gaming. And so having the opportunity to hop online, friend his child, and bond through gaming, it's obviously no replacement for physical time spent, but it allowed the two of them to connect, through a channel by which they would not have otherwise been able to connect. And so, but from sort of the hey, thinking about gaming or the esports industry as a foundation for your professional career, this is what we tell parents, right? Just like a traditional sport, the top 1/2% of talent are the ones that are going to be, making 6 7 figures, even more in the game, similar to a LeBron James or you know uh, someone in a traditional sport. But we also use the example of Kyle Giersdorf, aka Booga, who won $3 million playing Fortnite in 2018 at the age of 16 years old. Why was that so significant? Yes, Kyle was a diamond in the rough superstar, won that money playing a video game in a major tournament in Arthur Ashe Stadium with thousands of people watching. But overnight, he became a corporation. He became a brand. He had a PR tour. Had a peripherals line at Five and Below. He had his own character designed after him by Epic for the game Fortnite, right? He became a corporation. And what does every corporation need? A management team, a legal team, an accounting team, a marketing team, and so he needed an infrastructure to support him now as a corporation. But that doesn't only when you think outside the box, right? You think about the other wraparounds and supports that may have been needed. If he became now a homeschool student because of his professional obligations, he needs an educator. He needs a teacher who can, work with him and knows the demands of the esports industry. He needs a sports nutritionist, right? Because he's got to be at the top of his game uh, for 6 to 8 hours at a time, playing in a video game. He may need a sports psychologist, right? He may need, a physical therapist. So he's going to need an attorney. Like there are so many opportunities that we sit here and say, okay, we ask these kids, what's your name? Where are you from? What's your dream? What's your favorite video game? And what's your dream job? Because we say you can be anything that you want to be. Mom and dad, they can be anything that you want them to be, but still be in this esports industry and still make a tremendous living doing so. Joe, when we were down at CECC last year, not this past year, but 2022 down in Atlanta, right? Malcolm and I were there, and we had our consoles and we were setting up and we were downloading a couple games. And this gentleman comes from out of nowhere and says, "Hey, who's pulling my bandwidth?" Um, and he literally was able to identify where we were and what we were doing. So he was a network engineer that was working the event. He makes $250,000 a year, you know, just managing the infrastructure and the technology network. So you sit there and you tell these parents, look, yes, this individual spends a lot of time in this space or online, but if you get them into a structured program, imagine what their passion can do for them and where it can take them. And then we hear, "Oh, I gotta go apologize to my kid," which is the music to our ears because every parent that we've ever really had that has had a negative stigma or stereotype around this, when we sit here and we explain the potential and possibilities of what the esports industry can hold, they usually are become their child's greatest advocate after that.
I can't say it any better. I'm not even going to try. What Steven said was just replay that. If you're going to ever edit this, just replay that and put my voice in. That was good.
Cool. I think AI can help us with that. Perfect. So moving right along then, with that being said, obviously we've talked esports, we've talked the education piece. Let's talk the controversy here. Traditional sports and esports. So obviously there's a lot of parallel here. There's a lot of similar skills that these students are learning, and I'll let you guys speak to those here in a second. But what's kind of some of the challenges you've seen from a traditional sports route that these students are having to face on a day-to-day, maybe in their esports journey? And what are some differences between the esports athlete and the traditional athlete that you guys see kind of out there?
So I will say that in the biggest thing that difference that I see is the toxicity level in the esports industry, right? Like, you know, in competitions, in traditional sports competitions, if someone cheats or does something dirty or says something in the heat of battle, it's much easier to police it from a referee's standpoint than it is online or in esports, right? Like, and you know, sort of the level of yeah, discrimination and exclusion can be much higher in the esports world and in the esports landscape. So those are the things that I've kind of seen that kind of bubble up to the top there. You know, the sort of challenges. I mean, you know, stream sniping and and just, you know, when people find out that maybe you're not where they came from or like them, you know, the attitude changes, or just, you know, that level of toxicity and discrimination, even and especially against, you know, our women gamers is pretty bad. Like, but we're, you know, we're consciously at FFG, like, you can't be a part of our Discord server if you come in and you spew hate or you spew any type of negativity. Like, we're completely positive there. What I would say are the benefits and the positives is just that same opposite of that, the inclusivity of esports, right? Because in a traditional sport, you may not be big enough, fast enough, strong enough, um, or you may not be popular enough and fit the societal, you know, mold for an athlete for an any given sport. But in esports, it's the great equalizer. Anybody and everybody has an opportunity, has a shot, and the skill of gameplay is what comes out on top, not necessarily what you may or may not look like or how big or small you may be.
Yeah, I think Stephen hit on some major ones, particularly when it comes to the diversity, equity, inclusion piece. One interesting item that I never thought of when it comes to traditional sports versus esports, um, I heard from a gentleman was, so when you think traditional sports, who owns basketball? Nobody, right? It's a sport, you know, it's been created, all of those kind of things. I know we could go into that, but nobody owns it. And so the question of ownership within a sport and how that dynamic changes things, and whether that's partnering with certain organizations or companies that way. But again, I think that ownership thing was one that I heard that I had never thought of, nor probably would have thought of in that moment. As far as positives go, you know, the skill the skill in which it takes for a lot of these games. I mean, I watch and it's incredible. Not just the durability to be able to sit for the hours that it takes, the stamina to be able to do that, but even I can see it in my own gameplay. You know, I'll go back to Mario. When I was a kid, I could easily beat all 8 worlds, and that was it. My reaction time for jumping over a Koopa Trooper at this point is not the same like it used to be. And so, like, and again, I know that's something that could be with, excuse me, with work and practice and different, skills and things like that. I could probably get it near what it is, but again, that's part of aging. And we talk about, NFL. They're talking, whatever, the 30 mark. When you turn 30, you started that you're on the downhill of your career. Like there is skill, and I can even see in my lack of skill now that's not there. Again, there is the importance of the training and the conditioning and all of that in the sports as well. So I see positives in the sense of the same things that we see in traditional sports. They are there in esports. Now, again, it comes back to the awareness, the connection to it, the advocacy for it, and because it's new. Just as we were talking in the nonprofit space and academics, again, it's new. It's getting a traditional mindset to think differently about this. I remember going to DreamHack this year, and again, my eyes opened by that. And I was standing in line with a father that was there, and he was talking. His son, they traveled from New Mexico to Atlanta, and his son plays Fortnite with a group, and they joined the Fortnite tournament at DreamHack that year. And again, he was talking about how, if he was on a travel soccer team or baseball team or all of that, he would be sitting and doing the same exact thing, watching his son play there. And he always had that vision of what being a father with a son who was an athlete was going to be like. And at first, he lamented the idea of his son going that way, but he saw the interaction and the community that he was building through this. And he said, why am I going to fight it? I'm going to push my son away. So he tried to embrace it, and then he started to see this traditional mindset. He saw the things that he valued within the traditional setting. He was now seeing in the travel team that they now had for esports as well. So again, it's timing. We're in this new realm, and so it's just bringing people along to gain an understanding and appreciation, quite frankly, of this industry.
The beautiful thing too is I'm also starting to see more integration of traditional and esports by the same organization, right? Because you can go out on the field and practice for a couple hours here or there, and then there's that level of exhaustion, but you can continue to build upon that by bringing that same group of individuals together and playing together online. You could still work your strategies, your communication, still continue to forge the bonds. So I'm seeing like soccer organizations and basketball organizations that are not only, using esports as, or are also using esports to continue to get better for the physical sport.
Stephen, to your point, this past year there was a D1 basketball team that they got together with the esports team, and to build that community and to break the stigma, because all the basketball guys were playing the games anyway. And so it was an opportunity to really build more community. And again, if you think of the stereotypes in any sport, stereotypes, I mean, in basketball, stereotypes in esports, it was breaking down barriers even from that standpoint. So even uh, and you know, they went through different skills and that, and then they just did some fun play as well, which you would do with a basketball practice, right? And so I thought that was a really neat opportunity that I saw that I think hopefully continues to grow, of when there's those natural connections, again, those dots, connecting those to be able to break down the barriers, not just within the sports, but also for student to student, because they are different. You know, they it was a big campus, probably never any interaction, or would there be any interaction? And so I saw that as a really cool opportunity to be able to bring a lot of different things, and to just bring the conversation up about athletes, student, in this case, student athletes, and who they are and what they are and what they have to go through to excel again at that D1 level.
Absolutely. Yeah. And one thing, you know, there, and it's something I had seen before, and then it always just kind of disappears in the back of my mind. And then conversations like this bring it back up. But you see a lot of big sports organizations, or, you know, someone like Shaquille O'Neal or Rick Fox, you know, big NBA champions going out and buying or investing in these esports teams. You know, 2016 to 2018, Rick Fox was a huge advocate for esports in League of Legends. You know, he was one of those owners. He was at every game in the front row cheering on his team, and you didn't see that from a lot of these other guys. And so it brings to question why, if the sporting world is really buying in and supporting this esports, you know, ecosystem, why is the rest of the world kind of falling behind?
Yeah, that's a great question. So I think it's just comes down to lack of uh, familiarity and understanding. You know, I mean, I've said that through a couple different questions that you've asked, but it really, you know, it's like you've grown up, a whole society has grown up, a whole part of society, which is sort of the older, have grown up under the traditional guise of the American dream is you go to school, you get an education, you go work in the real world, quote unquote, and then you raise your family to kind of do the same, follow the same model, right? But what people have forgotten is, in the hustle and bustle of all that, you've given your kid, or you started your kid out in the crib with an electronic device, right? And that has led them, you know, to technology as their sort of um, baseline familiarity, whether it be YouTube, whether it be you know, an app on a phone, mobile apps, or mobile gaming, whether it be console or PC. And so, you know, while you as a parent, because I've been guilty of it at some point in my, have been focused going one direction, you know, your child has a completely different experience than you have gotten. They've gotten way more access to information, way more access to other influencers, and way more access to technology. And so, you know, if you're not necessarily familiar with that, um, you have individuals now who grew up like that, are major influencers in these, you know, sports and professionals. And so this is what they're doing, and they're used to in their downtime, but they're have such an influence that they're bringing that influence um, to those teams, and those executives, who are very smart people, are seeing the possibility and potential that that influence can bring to their brands. So they're making a business and a conscious decision to embrace that, because they're it keeps their athletes happy, and they see the business potential. on the rest of the world side, it's kind of been an afterthought until the pandemic, and so that's why I feel like it's just been a slow evolution to catch up.
And I second that. It's change. I think it's change, and some people, change is slow. People resist change. They're used to norms. I mean, you can go into any, philosophical or psychological, human development that way. We're not accustomed to change, and it's something different from the norm. For those that can embrace that, that's okay. As items evolve, I think, when you asked your question, my initial reaction was, that they are. I mean, it's multi-billion dollar industry, and it's growing. Now, do we see that as a front and center in society? No, but I just think, again, it's just natural change, resistance to change. There's people who will see that, but I would also say, look at the demographics. Yes, it's multi-generational who are gamers, but if you look at the majority numbers, the wave's coming. And so we're talking about this in education, right now. We're talking K through 12th. We're talking high school here. Those people are going to be starting businesses, leading businesses, different things like that. So the potential for the future, it's pretty significant. And we know there are significant companies, there are significant, there are high-end companies, there are high-end sports entities that are investing, involved, in seeing those trends. Is that guaranteed for the future? No, but there's a lot, there's a lot going on. So I think it's just a matter of time and change before it becomes, maybe at the forefront of people's minds.
Absolutely. And if you had to put a number on it, how long do you think we have before that bubble kind of bursts and the world really kind of turns their head and pays attention to esports?
I mean, I think the world is paying attention now. They had no choice, especially when FaZe launched, became public. That was news. It's unfortunate that things are a little crazy, but I would say maybe in the next 3 to 5 years, once you have this wave of competitive collegiate esports players that are going to be graduating and going and starting companies and businesses. You have major corporations now that are doing esports collabs that are influential organizations, but that up and coming workforce is only a few years out from really getting traction in existing industries and starting new businesses in the next 3 to 5 years. I would say. um, I was going to make a point that esports is the only industry that permeates pretty much every other major industry, whether it be sport, fashion, business. You're seeing more and more corporations that are advertising and doing campaigns that are including, esports personalities, or promoting ads inside of games. So these collaborations have um, uh, no choice but to influence and impact our existing consumers. But once these next few waves of graduating classes come out, having done esports, and maybe esports paying for their degree, I mean, they have it's just it's inevitable that's going to happen in the next few years.
Yeah, and I think also to that point, I mean, think how we consume content. The way I consume content is completely different than the way my parents do, and the way my grandparents do. On the separate end, the content that I consume is completely different than what my niece and nephew do. And there's even a connection, a difference between my nephew at his age and my niece and what they're consuming in that. So there's a big change, and so that's just personal. But if you even look and you look at media deals that are being discussed, that are starting to come out, the importance of digital content versus the traditional. Now, right now, that's still the winner. I mean, you see it with the NFL and all of that. The NBA one's going to be fascinating because of their international push, all of that. Like, their media rights are going to come up. So I'm a nerd geek when it comes to that kind of, like, the inner workings of sports. I love that kind of stuff. It just it I just enjoy it. Like, it's the what ifs. So I think that will be interesting to see what that trend does. So put a timetable on it, I don't know, but just to add on what Steven said, I think that the consumption of what we consume and how we consume, when it comes to content, it's shifting, and we all know that. And so that may change the discussion when it comes to esports viewership, all of that, and the way in which it's consumed, um, could change. And I think that could be a tipping point for the amount of time of years, months, whatever, depending on that.
Mhm.
Yeah, absolutely. And you look at, I mean, like you said, the NFL, they, Amazon Prime now hosts Thursday Night Football. Well, where else is that advertised? That's advertised on Twitch. And now there's a Thursday Night Football channel on Twitch. So people can watch their traditional sports on these live streaming platforms that they would normally be going to watch their favorite streamer play Fortnite or Madden.
What you would normally get from excuse me, I don't want to put advertising on there, but from a satellite subscription, you are now going to get from YouTube this year. I mean, think of that shift. I mean, yeah, the Prime one is a big one too, but even think that they've invested that way. MLS and Apple TV, just, I mean, we can go down, we go down the rabbit hole of all of those kind of things. But yeah, it's going to be interesting for sure.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, we are getting kind of towards the end of our time here, so I want to get to know you guys a little bit more and your gaming kind of initiative. But just to kind of throw one tidbit out before we get to that, Steve had mentioned how gaming is kind of permeating all these different industries, and as of 2021, gaming was a $180 billion industry. And I might have that number written wrong here on my sheet, but I believe that's accurate. And if I'm also not mistaken, that was larger than the film industry and the music industry combined, right? So you look at that and you're like, man, at some point, someone has to pay attention to this. And like you guys both said, like, we're starting to see it, and it's going to really kind of blow up in the near future. And I'm excited to see what that does, kind of for the industry as a whole. But back to what I was saying, let's hear a little bit about you guys. So we're going to get into some fun questions, and then we might hit some rapid fire questions here that are a little off the wall. But so we've been talking esports. We've been talking esports all day. So for you guys, obviously you're in the space, you're going out to these events. What has been the esports title that you've enjoyed kind of watching the most?
I'd say Smash has been really fun to get to know, especially the personalities of the Smash players. That community is really special. Like, they die hard, they own it themselves, they take pride in their community. They identify with maybe one character, maybe two. Um, their personalities are just so much fun and so diverse. Um, but but when it comes time to compete, like, it's just laser like focus, locked in, quiet as I don't know what. And so I've really enjoyed getting to know the Smash community. But I have to be honest, like, I really didn't know much about League. Then I started watching you play League and on stream, Joe Tato. I've asked you kind of to give me pointers here and there, but just to experience the League, championship last year, and got to go and watch the watch party at HyperX, and just to see it all come together in such magnificent splendor and production, that to me has just been kind of the pinnacle of what esports could become. if every title were to invest and commit and have a following like that. Like, just it could be magical.
Yeah, so I'll piggyback on the Smash part. Man, when I went to DreamHack, like I felt like I was at WrestleMania, man. Like the other games were going on, but like Smash was like they had chants going on, and they're like it was phenomenal. Like and I got into it. I sat down and watched for a while, and again, that probably goes back into my like olden gaming days because it's Nintendo, right? And so you have your favorite characters from your childhood and things like that. So there was that, but so and again, a competitive, just one-on-one, duking it out type scenario. So I mean, I love that. I gotta lean in, and I'll have to try League. I haven't done it. I haven't watched. So I'll commit here that I will give it a whirl and see what that's like. But I think just from because of my fandom on it, watching Fortnite build mode. Steven knows this. I'm when they put no build in, and I know this will be controversy in the chat, maybe. Like I was happy because you know I got a little bit more on. I could not build like some of these people are doing, and so when I watch Fortnite build mode, like I'm in awe of what's able to be done. Now that I've seen some of the behind the scenes and the special mouses people are using and things like that, but that was fascinating to me just because I'm in awe of the skill that's there. So that's my answer.
Yeah, and absolutely. I may get some hate for this as well. I boycotted Fortnite for the longest time. So for many of you in chat that maybe didn't know, I used to live in North Carolina. I worked at a GameStop right there in Morrisville, and Epic Games was like right down the street. And that was right around the time that Fortnite was coming out, and they released the Save the World. Each GameStop got 2 copies, one for Xbox, one for PlayStation. And I couldn't go to work without getting 50 questions about where I could get Fortnite. And so I just hated it. I didn't want to hear anything about Fortnite. I didn't want to look at Fortnite. I didn't want to play Fortnite. And then Battle Royale hit, and they just blew up the industry with that. And then that was the thing. Hey, you guys got Fortnite. It went from 50 to 100 questions a day about where can I get Fortnite? How do I play Fortnite? And so for the longest time, I didn't play it. Now, no build came out. I gave it a try. I love the no build mode, but I still, like every time I load it, I'm like, man, why am I playing this game? I can't believe I'm loading into this game.
So no lie, quick story. This will age me as well. So I worked at Walden Books, and to your point, when Harry Potter came out, they were going to force us to read the book or like the first chapter so that we could, and you don't force me to do anything that way. So I refused to read it. And then everybody's buying it. And I just refused because the company was trying to make me read the book. And if I'm going to read something, I'm going to read it for enjoyment, not because you forced me to. So I avoided it forever and ever and ever. And then, of course, when everything comes back to my nephew, right? So when he got back into it, I finally watched the movies. But yeah, for a while, I was my Fortnite story. It was Harry Potter at Walden Books. So.
Now, yeah, you know me in Fortnite. That with all the games that I like, that I personally liked, that's the one I'm playing the most. And it was because. It really was because I was tired of my stepson kicking my butt in it. So I was like, I need to learn how to build. And then I really just fell in love with the game. So I play Fortnite all the freaking time. Which is why I can't be great at League, because I spent too much time playing Fortnite.
Yep, that's completely understandable. And to go back to your comment about watching League and learning more about it, it's wild, like you said, just the production that Riot Games is able to put on. You know, we went to, I believe it was semifinals here in Atlanta last year for the World Championship, and it was 4 Korean teams, right? No North American, no European, nothing. It was 4 Korean teams, and they sold out State Farm Arena for 2 nights straight. That's 40,000 people that came to Atlanta or lived in Atlanta or traveled to the city to watch people play video games in a basketball arena and sold out twice. And when you think about the impact that has not only on the industry for gaming, right, but tourism for that city, for the other cities, right? Like these hotels are probably booked up. Parking garages are going up from $20 to $30 a night. And it's just great all around for everybody. So that was a wild experience. That honestly probably trumps any sporting event I've ever been to as far as atmosphere and just the electricity in that room when someone was making a play. It was wild. So if you ever have a chance, anyone in chat, you guys there, go to a League of Legends event. If Riot Games is coming to your city or nearby, you won't regret it. It's a lot of fun.
I second that, man. I will definitely be going in the future again.
Absolutely. So with that said, and I think you kind of just touched on it, Steve. So obviously we talked about being gamers as kids, and then, kind of still gaming through our adult life. So what would you say was your favorite game when you were a kid? And has it changed now? What you say your favorite game is now?
As a kid, my favorite game was a cross between, it was a toss up between, and it was two different eras, between Contra and Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. So those I streamed Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Shredder's Revenge with Malcolm a couple months ago, and that was one of the most fun times that I've had on stream, just laughing and remembering the characters. And then Contra, man, up down, left right, BA select start, right? Like, get unlimited weapons, man. That was, I spent hours and hours and hours playing that game. Now, I mean, like I said, my number one game now, Fortnite, either mode, build or zero build. And I love the Madden series. Always have, always will. I just don't play it as much as I need to play it to stream it. So I don't want to take any L's from any spammers in the online community. But Madden and Fortnite are my games of choice these days.
Yeah, I mean, the evolution of it, it's definitely changed. Actually, when you were talking about Contra, Stephen, it made me think of when I was a kid, I had the E.T. Atari game, which I know has been ranked as the worst game ever created. And I couldn't get past like level 2 or something. And then I watched that documentary on that, how terrible of a game it was, and then realized you probably couldn't get past level 2 at that point. That wasn't my favorite game though. But I loved Mario growing up. Like Mario 3, I don't even know, and again, dating myself, but like there was a movie, I think called Whiz Kid or something that came out that like launched Super Mario Bros. 3, and that was like one of the most innovative ways that it's a terrible movie, but like, I loved that game. The Madden series was always something that I got into, especially with like GM mode, and you could build your own teams and all that. When that started up, the evolution of just, I think, Nintendo and the Smash, and even like Mario Soccer and all of that. I mean, just playing with friends in college and stuff like that was great. Nowadays, it's definitely, I mean, I spend a lot of time on Fortnite, probably too much, but I just enjoy that game. There's so much there. There's the battle royale. There's like I've gotten into just like I'll get on and how many challenges can I finish in one round, and yet still like how far can I go? So I make games within the game just by myself or with people and things. So I appreciate all of that. However, my nephew now is trying to get me into Rocket League, and I've played that, and man, that's going to take some skill, but I'm going to give it the old college try on that one. But right now, Fortnite remains the top one.
All right, I like it. And I'll go ahead and throw mine out there. I mean, as a kid, I was a Mario kid as well. I grew up, my parents had an NES, so Mario was like the first game I played. But even that, I think we had the triple collection, which had Mario, Duck Hunt, and then Track and Field, and that one probably stayed in the Nintendo the most. So that would have to be my go-to as a young lad. And then nowadays, I'd say my all-time favorite, like as far as games go, Elder Scrolls Oblivion. That game was just super fun. I went through 100%. I made a character for each different thing you could do and did everything I could possibly do in that game. But my go-to that I play still probably has to be League of Legends. I haven't played it in a couple of months now. I took a break when Diablo came out, but there's just something about that game that always pulls me in. And I know the community's toxic and they're so hateful sometimes, but I just keep going back.
You know, there was one game we hadn't really got into, I guess, with Minecraft a little bit, but like I got into the Sims, where like roller coaster, not roller toaster. That would be a terrible game. Actually, might be a great game. Who knows? But Roller Coaster Tycoon, like all those like build games, I definitely got into some of that as well. So just a shout out to that genre of gaming.
Good old. I think we used to do. Zoo Tycoon was our big one when I was a kid.
Oh, there you go.
Yep.
Nice.
So now we're going to get into some rapid fire. We're going to have a little bit of fun here. Nothing too crazy. We're not going to get anybody in trouble. But we're going to have a little bit of fun here. Just ask maybe some controversial questions, but it's okay. It's okay. So we'll start off, and I'm just going to go, and the first thing that comes to your head, I want you guys to tell me. So favorite food?
Lasagna.
Mexican.
Okay. Coffee or tea?
Coffee.
Coffee.
Okay. Marvel or DC?
Marvel.
I guess I got to go DC because Batman's my favorite. So I got to, like, regardless, Batman's my favorite. So I guess DC. But I like Marvel movies much better.
Okay.
There I said it.
Yeah, no. Hey, nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with that. Winter or summer?
Summer all day, bro.
Summer.
Okay. Yeah. Xbox or PlayStation?
Xbox!
Nah, PlayStation all day.
I'm going to have to go with you on that one, Matt.
I win.
All right, so we'll do one more on that. PC or console?
PC.
I would probably say PC, but I'm not into that. I'm on console, so.
Okay. Now we're going to get really controversial with this one. Does pineapple belong on pizza?
All right. So
belong? Oh, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
But belong? No. Acceptable and taste good from time to time? Yeah.
Oh, you should be a politician. Listen to you. I like that. I was going to talk about the quality of pineapple, potentially on it, but I don't. I'm not going to go down that again. Look, director of liberal arts. Obviously, I was going to go philosophical for a minute, right? But no, I'm going to go with Steven's answer on that one. I like it.
Okay, yeah, and I would have to agree. I'm going to get a lot of hate for that. It's acceptable. I don't know if it belongs there all the time. It has to have the right accompanying toppings, right? You can't just have a pineapple pizza. That doesn't work.
Exactly. Yep.
All right, let's see here. Go-to snack.
Whatever's in the cabinet.
Takis and Red Bull.
Oh.
Okay.
Wow.
You went the savory with the energy drink. I like it.
Mm-hmm.
And lastly, Netflix or Hulu?
Neither.
Interesting.
I guess I'd go Netflix. Well, you know what? I'll go Netflix because I watch more. I'm waiting for Stranger Things. They're taking too long, man. Like, come on. This is ridiculous.
I've had Netflix longer, so by default Netflix. But I've been watching Prison Break, Hulu.
Oh, it's a good show.
Okay. I like it. I'm gonna go way out there. I've been on the Amazon Prime Video this weekend.
Oh, you didn't give that as an option, though, man. Come
No,
on.
you sure didn't.
I didn't, but hey, I'm the interviewer. I can do what I want. So that is gonna do it for us today, guys. Big thank you to Matt and Steve for coming in and hanging out with us today. A couple of housekeeping items, and then I'll turn it over to them for any of their shout outs and thank yous they want to do. We do have another community night this Wednesday, 9 p.m. Eastern. We'll be joined by Rick Shade, Carmi, myself, and Trusted Beard, just having some fun, playing some games, raising some more money for pancreatic cancer. And then on Saturday at 1 p.m. Eastern, we start our final event for this month's fundraiser. Shout outs to the donations I didn't get to before we got into these deep dives here. $10 from Bio, thank you so much. Bax Burns, a $20 donation there, and then Futures First Gaming with the $250 donation. Thank you so much, guys. That puts us up to what is our total today of $3,358. So we are $150 away from making Trusted Beard do a hot sauce shot on Saturday, the 29th. We do also have some GWC giveaway items we're going to be giving away that day as well. So make sure you're here for that. And if we make it to the goal of $7,500, myself, Trusted Beard, Mizzy No Name, and I believe Bonsai Merlin will all be going to get tattoos to celebrate the goal, meeting the goal. So definitely, if you can't donate, that is totally okay. Share the link around because Trusted Beard does not want a tattoo, and we're going to get him one. So get that link out there, share it with your friends, share it with your family, throw it all over the place. And with that, guys, I will turn it over to you.
So I'll go first, Matt, because I know you definitely have a special tie to the stream. But I just want to say thank you, Jotato and Pancan and GamersWeCare for inviting Futures First Gaming to be a part of this. This is really special for us. We exist to make change and drive change in the world through our mission, but we also try to help others as well. And charity streams and fundraising streams are some of my favorite, as you all know if you've seen any of the ones that I do. So I'm super excited to be here, and just want to invite everybody to join our Discord if you want to get with our community and connect with a whole nother group of gamers out there that are all about being positive and driving change. So special shout out to you all for having us. Big shout out to my guys, Malcolm and Nudie. Love you guys, and we're just super excited to be a part of this, and couldn't be more grateful for you to having us on today's stream.
Yeah. First, I've talked about Wilmington University for giving me the opportunity to even explore this. It wasn't on their radar probably a year ago, and here we are. So check us out with the esports team, the gaming community, and again our certificate, esports certificate that's online and in person, wilmu.edu. Futures First Gaming, Stephen, thank you. It's been amazing to just work with you to get to know that, but to be the experts and to partner together to try to build this in the first state has been phenomenal. Looking forward to that, moving forward. Again, I said it before. Thanks to Leadership Delaware, that's how Stephen. We probably wouldn't have met in a small state. We probably just wouldn't have. And so that program and that 10-month leadership program that's building leaders in the first state. Again, this is a byproduct of all of that. And I want to say a few words on behalf of the Pancreatic Cancer Action Network. And I know the president and CEO, Julie Fleshman, at the beginning of the stream, talked about the organization and some things like that. But I just want to reiterate some things that she talked about, and then just give a huge thank you, particularly with GamersWeCare. When PanCan was founded in 1999, the landscape was quite different than what it was today for pancreatic cancer. Very little was known about the disease. There was very little. There was only a handful of researchers that were studying pancreatic cancer at all. It was known as the current Black Plague. It was a death sentence at that point at 4%. Today, thanks to donors like all of you, and many others, we're making a difference. Like I said, the survival rate is now in the double digits at 12%. And there's a community of hundreds of scientists across the country and who are now devoted to research specifically on improving patient outcomes. So thanks, because of you, PanCan has invested more than $174 million into pancreatic cancer research grants and our clinical and scientific initiatives. PanCan has a patient services. It offers for free for patients and for caregivers personal one-on-one support, finding resources to any question related to pancreatic cancer. So since its inception, patient services has been contacted by more than 400,000 times for information, education, and hope. So if you know somebody who is facing pancreatic cancer, either in the moment or in the future, go to pancan.org and you can find information there. There's also an 800 number in which you can call. And again, it is one-on-one from the day of diagnosis until whatever the outcomes are. PanCan is there for you. And again, it is all free. But we are also a grassroots army of volunteers, and we have 57 affiliates nationwide who build awareness and raise critical funds in their local communities. Our local communities, through the Purple Stride 5K event that Joe was talking about this year, raised $17 million. And that is grassroots efforts. And it's building awareness, raising critical funds, just like we're doing here today as well. So I, on behalf of PanCan and Pancreatic Cancer Action Network, I'm just so grateful for all of those of you, the streamers, the donors, GamersWeCare, all of that, who share a vision to create a world in which all patients with pancreatic cancer will thrive. So as a volunteer, as a survivor of this disease, and an advocate for this disease, I just want to say thank you so much to all of you for the support. It's great.
Awesome. And yes, thank you, Matt. Thank you, Stephen, for joining us today. I want to give a special shout out to the team of people behind me, Trusted Beard, Rick Shade, Mizzy No Name, Bio Nerd. I'm sure I'm missing some people. We got P-Prof back there, Oxenko, our video editor. Just a whole team of people that put all this together that I mean, I couldn't do this if it wasn't for them. You know, thank you to our moderators, that unknown entity, one of my personal moderators that is also moderating for GWC, Bloody Slayer, different username there, a lot of bloodies in the Twitch realm. And yeah, I mean, it's without you guys, the viewers out here supporting us, supporting these charities, this doesn't happen. So thank you, everybody. We are going to send the raid out to stackup.org, another one of those fantastic charity organizations we partner with. They have one of their people on their channel today. Looks like they are streaming some Stardew Valley. So a little laid back farming we're going to do for the rest of the evening. So we're going to send you guys out over there. So make sure you show them some love. And once again, if you want to keep track of what Matt's got going on with WilmU or what Steven and FFG have going on, make sure to check their links that are in the chat. We'll also drop them all in our Discord for you guys to see those as well. So yeah, thank you so much, guys. Have a wonderful night. I'm going to leave you with that video from Julie, and we'll see you guys in the next one.
Hi, I'm Julie Fleshman, President and CEO of PanCan. Thank you for joining this powerful movement to accelerate progress in the fight to end pancreatic cancer. We are so grateful to people like you who will help us achieve our vision by creating a world where every patient with pancreatic cancer will thrive. PanCan was newly founded when I got involved back in 1999. I had just lost my dad to pancreatic cancer. I was angry that he didn't have more options. There wasn't a lot of awareness of pancreatic cancer back then, or hope. There were only a handful of researchers studying the disease, and the survival rate was under 5%. But that story changed when people like you stepped up and asked, what can I do to help? Today, PanCan is a growing community of passionate advocates working to change the pancreatic cancer story. We push for increased awareness, advocate for groundbreaking research, and unite around the belief that pancreatic cancer patients deserve a better future. And we are making a difference. More people than ever before know the risks and the symptoms. Patients and families have a compassionate and knowledgeable place to go for help through our free one-on-one PanCan patient services team. We are funding groundbreaking research to find a way to detect pancreatic cancer earlier and to get new, better treatment options to patients quicker. And the survival rate for the disease has more than doubled. All of these advancements are because of people like you who joined our community and said, "What can I do?" On behalf of all pancreatic cancer patients and their loved ones, thank you. We are so grateful for you.